Before I met Christ, I was a mess. I was, in a sense, depressed. Partied a lot, did a lot of drugs, hurt a lot of people. I even destroyed a family. My aunt, she passed away in December of 2005, and that was the start of all these unfortunate events. The very next year, in April 19th, my grandmother had a stroke. Your grandmother, your mother, your aunt, your grandfather, your cousins, when they pass away, it hurts. But when your mom passes away, that's one of those things that I look back on, and she did the best she could with 5 of us by herself. And she had a heart attack at school. She was a paraplegic teacher, and she was teaching a kid. He was in a wheelchair, and she just slumped over. And so the kid went to go get another teacher and said, "Hey, can someone come wake up Miss Lewis? She's taking a nap." And I got the call to go to the hospital because they told us, me and my sister, that she passed out. And you never forget those moments. That moment where you hear this, but then when you get there, it's something totally different. So when I got to the hospital, I saw my uncle, and I already knew what the news was going to be because I saw him crying and someone trying to console him. And we had just went through my aunt and my grandmother. This mom who nurtured us, who told us we didn't have to be a product of our environment because of the love she instilled in us. And as ignorant as I acted towards her, this is a mom who came when I got deployed, and I'm a grown man, and she's folding my underwear to send me to the desert, to send me off to war. I think about those things, and I'm telling you, that's when, that night, I prayed to God for peace to sleep, because I couldn't get the vision of her with all these tubes in her mouth, and I was just looking at her, hoping that she would wake up. You talk about frustration, you talk about anger, you talking about hurt. Any earthly emotion that you can express except for happiness, I expressed. And the one thing I didn't do, I didn't turn to God even then. So that year, I was turning 30. Big dirty 30, that's what they call it, right? And on my job, I was going through a lot of turmoil, a lot of stress. I lost that job with the State Department. I didn't lose it, I was forced to resign because I was smoking weed. I was going to play poker at night, every night, at this free poker place. Every night I was going, and my kids were at home, raising themselves. I ended up we lost our home, but we moved here to Fairfax. My whole world just completely fell apart. So, not only was I an adulterer, not only was I a drug user, not only was I not a man of God and training and leading my children in the way that they should go, I was just doing I was failing in school. I got kicked out of school December 7th, and then I got kicked out of that apartment that we were living in December 12th. I thought my world had come down crashing, but then I met God. God literally was pursuing me the whole time. Everything that happened prior to that moment, God was pursuing me. All the while I was working at FedEx. On Wednesday, I was in orientation with FedEx. And there was a gentleman in there that I basically led me to Christ. But I didn't know that was going to happen. I didn't know that type of relationship was going to develop. But God used Ray Betts Jr. to deliver me to Christ. But we would have conversations, him and I. We'd be in the truck. Either I'd be scanning the boxes as they come down the chute, and he'd be packing, or vice versa. And so we'd just be having conversations about the Bible, Old Testament, New Testament, what Christ said, how does he view marriage, things like that. I get in the car with Ray, and he asked me, what's going on, man? His voice, what's going on, man? You seem a little frazzled. He has a really calm demeanor about him. And I was just like, nah, it's nothing. By the time we get to work, that's when I'm just like, I had diarrhea in the mouth, and I'm just letting them have, everything that just went on. He told me, he said, well, I just listened to a sermon on frustration by Dr. Charles Stanley. And I was like, oh, okay. How's that gonna help me? In this moment, right? He said, I encourage you to take a listen, because I listen to it when I'm just doing daily chores around the house, and I just have my earbuds in, and I'll just listen to some of his sermons, and it just really uplifts me, man. Okay. You know what I'm going through, and I'm thinking to myself that, what can this guy tell me or know about what I'm going through, right? I went to my room, closed the door, and that was when I closed the door on that chapter of my life, because I did download that app, and I listened to that sermon, and I gave my life to Christ that night. After January 28th, giving my life to Christ, God began to speak to me even more. He began to just reveal his word to me deeper and deeper. I've come not full circle, but I've made a 180. I've made a 180. Christ actually helped me make this 180. Things just started happening. Things just literally started to happen. I was surprised at what I could do. But it wasn't what I could do, it was what God can do with us. In hindsight, it's what God has done for us. God strategically orchestrates our life if we allow him to. Since I met Christ, the biggest change is I don't desire the things that I used to desire. I don't desire to go to a club. I don't desire to smoke weed. I don't desire those things. I don't look at life the same. Like when the scales are removed from your eyes, you can't look at life the same. I would say the biggest change is I know who I am in Christ. And I have so much confidence in that. I have so much assurance in that. I am now wholly, like not HOL, I am wholly and fully submitted to Christ. I'm wholly and fully devoted to Christ. And Christ dwells within me. Christ knew who I was. He knew who I was before the foundation of the earth. He knew that he was going to have another mission for me.